Hey everyone, and welcome to another live broadcast. Today we have a guest with us that is going to give us some insight on what he does for his social media platform to really help bring awareness to his brand. And this is Kain from Crafted Tees. And we actually met in Denver, right, at the GPX show. That's the first time we got to actually chat. He helped us out in the booth and was really heavily promoting the 360. So I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and how you got started with Crafted Tees.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Kain. I'm the owner at Crafted Tees Custom Apparel here in Denver, Colorado. And I kind of got started. I was a full-time teacher, and I just kind of was doing apparel on the side. I really wanted to help with the craft beer community. I thought that they could use a little help when it came to design and quality of apparel that they were offering for sale. And so I started working with a couple of breweries, and the craft beer community out here is great at giving referrals. And so the work kind of just kept going and going and going. And after 5 years of doing designs and shirts and hats and everything, I was able to retire from teaching and go all in on the Crafted Tees business. So yeah, we're going on almost 2 years now since being done with teaching, and everything's going really well.
Awesome. So I'm actually a little familiar, I've talked to a lot of teachers who found their way into this industry. So is it something that you guys are teaching at the schools and that's how it kind of came about, or did you just find this as a side hustle all on your own?
My folks actually were longtime customers of Stahls, like way back in the day, for their own side hustle. So they were doing the heat transfers and doing a lot of sports memorabilia and jerseys and things like that. And so I think it's kind of always been in my blood for one, sales, and two, just being around people and doing art and design. And so I kind of just dabbled around in it, and yeah, truly just wanted to make a little extra side income. And then it was time to go all in on it.
Right. No looking back now.
Heck yeah.
All right. Well, that's awesome. I always love to hear a good story on how people got started. I actually didn't know that your parents were heavily involved beforehand. So that's really cool. So you're familiar with Stahls, and is that what got you started with the 360, just kind of knowing what we were about and seeing the new equipment?
Yeah, I was searching for equipment that wouldn't, put the press on the mark on the top of the hat. And truly, when I saw, this is kind of interesting, the Flex Style. So I actually saw the Flex Style for the first time on the Broncos Super Bowl 50 hat.
Nice.
That was 7 years ago. So literally for like the last 3 years, I've been searching for that kind of a decoration emblem. And I stumbled across Stahls, and then they had the heat press that I needed. And I was just like, I could not believe my luck that I had figured all of this out.
Yeah. Yeah. And so to you, what is like the best part of Flex Style? Like, what do you think it is that really draws the attention from your customers to the Flex Style that you're printing on the hats?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's the die cut capability for one. So like it's like a normal sticker application as far as being able to die cut around things. And then the unlimited colors is phenomenal. So
yeah,
being in the CMYK and all of that, I mean, you can have a logo that's 11 colors and it doesn't cost any extra to do it. Also, most hat emblems, we do everything at 2.4 inches tall, and that's our max. So it keeps the price down when you're ordering Flex Style, which is great.
Yeah, it's definitely all about price point, right?
Of course.
Yeah, so for those of you that are just now joining, I'm seeing some different comments coming in from Facebook and YouTube. Again, I am here with Kain from Crafted Tees and Hats, and he is here giving us a little insight on how he got started in the industry and what all he is doing now with the 360 IQ and different patches and emblems. Now, of course, it is social media days, so we are going to be talking a little bit about social media and how that really helps bring awareness to your brand and the products that you are offering to your targeted audience through the social media platforms. So, now that we're up to speed on who Kain is and the products and equipment that he's working with, let's go ahead and dive into some more of those social media questions. So, how do you manage your social media while you're also running a full-time business?
Fair. Yeah. So we actually have hired out our social media. I met a great young gal who had recently graduated college, and she was looking to kind of do something different. And we actually met at a craft brewery that was one of my clients, and shared a couple of beers together, and just kind of gave her a chance at all of it. And she was great at videos and posting and hashtags, and she would give me a monthly report of how we're doing, and kind of, outline maybe other ways we could have more success. And so really it was just a great match for us. And I've had her on board now for almost 2 years.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. So I will say for a lot of business owners, that is probably one of the biggest things is that they understand the importance of it, but they get a little bit hung up on how much time it really goes into it, right? And then being able to manage it. So do you think that you would have been able to manage it on your own while running the full-time business without having her on board?
So when I had her on board for like 10 months, and then she went on maternity leave. And so
Mm-hmm.
I was in charge for about, I don't know, 8 to 12 weeks. And I did okay on the stories and like the day to day, but like posting creatively, taking a nice photo, all of that, not so much. And I really did notice a drop in views, likes. Um, we get probably 1 or 2 hits from Instagram a week looking for new business. And so those started to drop off as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so my biggest advice would be, you don't even have to pay someone a ton of money to do it. Just find someone that's a good fit that can help you just stay consistent with it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So it's all about consistency. A lot of people that are heavily on social media and they dedicate a lot of time to it say you should be posting every day. But if you're also running a full-time business, it's not necessary, right? Yeah, you're shaking
No,
your head no, like it's
no.
sometimes just
Well,
not realistic.
don't do every day, because then you wash out your feed for people. So I see this a lot in the craft beer space here in Denver. They post every day, and then it's like 5 likes, and not everything is about likes, but it washes the things out. And then when they release a beer, no one sees it because it's flooded with all the other stuff that doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And really, those everyday things should be on stories. Absolutely. But you
Yeah,
can go into your Instagram dashboard and see what days perform best for your business. And that's what we did. So our best days are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
right.
And so those are the 3 days that we post.
Awesome. Awesome. So, really great pointers there for those of you that are on the fence of doing social media. I really like how you pointed out doing stories. Some people love it, and some people are like, no, I'm not really interested in stories. But I will say, from our standpoint, that's how we gauge who we're interacting with, who's watching your story. You get to post polls in there, you get to ask people questions. It gets you engaged with who is following you and interacting with you, so you know what type of content to put out there, right? So I think utilizing stories for more of those everyday things, and then moving forward with your standard timeline, post certain days out of the week is a really great tip there. So what would you say for some of those that are still on the fence or maybe a little shy with getting started on social media, whether that be posting product or even showing their face?
So I'm a little shy when it comes to posting my face as well. I'm okay doing it on the personal side, but I've had a hard time on the business side as well. But I think with that, mostly doing product photos, having really nice light for your product photos is great. And maybe you just start with a story because it disappears after 24 hours. And so that's kind of maybe a nice way to break into it. I reached out to a friend recently. We met through TikTok. She started a apparel business in Minnesota. I'm going to give her a shout out. Northern Ties is her business. And I just reached out recently. She's so great at showing her face. And I'm like, how do you do this? And she's like, I just document everything and I post it. And we all know this from being in sales. People want to make a connection.
Right.
So if you can show your face, they realize, oh, this guy is a former teacher. I'm a teacher. I'm a former teacher. Whatever it is, make that connection. And then you've got those people for life.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about connection. And it's all about being your true, authentic self. I love that the woman from Northern Ties, shout out again, that she made a point to say, I just document everything. And that it's just so funny because we were just talking about this at an event we were at over the weekend. And we were just like, has anybody heard that trending sound? Everything is content. It's like everything is content, right? So that's right. Everything is content. So if you just document what you're doing behind the scenes, or as you're printing a hat, or as your customers opening or seeing their hat for the first time, that's all things that people in our industry can resonate. And then customers get to see that other side of you. That's not just a salesperson. It's, hey, I'm actually running this small business. Do you like supporting small businesses? Get to know me. And it just creates a relationship that everybody's looking for whenever they do want to support local or small businesses.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's definitely like a little nerve-wracking at first, but you just have to kind of dip your toe in. Like you said, maybe do stories at first because it disappears after 24 hours and it's not just on your feed constantly for people to go back and view. I think that helps people kind of get those nerves out of the way. Yeah. And then you can get more comfortable in front of the camera enough to do some more of the short form videos and things like that. So really, another really great tip. You got a lot of good tips here. I see you on social media a lot. You're always posting really great content around your hats. So let's sidebar social media talk for a little bit and talk about some of the hats that you're printing and what other transfers you're using.
Sure. Yeah. So we've been dabbling around with the Ultra Color Max. Nice. And this is a new try for us. We are mostly in the leather patches, the Flex Style, and PV Plus, which is coming out soon. We've been testing this product with Stahls for quite some time. We feel really lucky and very appreciative we've been able to do that. So this Pride hat, lots of colors, lots of fine detail, but gosh, for the price, you can't really beat it. And then on this foam trucker, but great margin on a product like this. And then here's the PV Plus, which hopefully, if you haven't experienced it yet, you'll get a chance to do that soon. Trying to get a good photo here. But yeah, rubber patch, PVC, heat applied. The 360 makes it perfect to work with. We've never had any issues with anything coming off, which is amazing. Yeah, and then here's another PV Plus.
Yeah, so as I'm noticing that you're talking about transfers, so the first one on the foam trucker you mentioned was the Ultra Color Max, right? So for those of you that want to start dabbling in hats and maybe you're not at that price point where you want to get into emblems and patches, I will say the UC Max, we say UC Max, Ultra Color Max is a really good way to start because it looks and feels very nice on a hat and you can get really great full color as he's demonstrated there on that foam trucker. And of course, really good price point. We're looking at about 54 cents for a hat transfer. So you can't beat that, in my opinion, if you're looking for a really nice profit margin, right? I also see really cool hats that you're printing too. So tell us a little bit about what inspires your hat selection when you're choosing your blank. Is it based on what your customers like, or is it just you have an eye for it, so you want to use those?
Well, I'd like to say it's just that I have an eye for it, but really we study other brands. And so there's no point in, reinventing the wheel, as some would like to say. But, some of our vendors we get hats from, they've been out of certain designs for 18 to 24 months. And I remember how fast some of those designs would sell when we would get them in. So really, we created our own flamingo hat, our own flamingo print hat. We put a rope on it. We sourced that ourselves. Took a little bit of a risk on that. Thank you, Jenna. We got the PV Plus emblem on that as well. And so, now this hat is one of our best selling hats. We'll probably keep it year round. But, we study other brands and see what's hot and what's coming up, and take a little bit of a gamble on, things like the laser mesh in the back. This bright pink hat, it's just great for summer. So yeah, I mean, we do our homework, and a little bit of it is taking a chance and a risk, and see what happens.
Yeah, so I absolutely love the product that Ty is putting out there. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out some of his content and products that he is producing with the 360 IQ, we did post his social media links in the chat there. So be sure to give him a follow, support your heat printer, right? So there's just so many cool things here. I will say this is probably my favorite hat that you've released, aside from the really like bright pink one too. So just really love how this turned out, and that it is retail ready, because then you're just adding more value by branding it.
Yeah.
So being able to source really nice blank hats is definitely a part of, being able to get into heat printing hats full time. So are you just doing hats, or do you also do other apparel as well?
In the last like 18 months, we just have really realized that headwear has taken off for us. And so we do broker some screen printing, and we do some heat transfers in-house as well. Once again, with the Ultra Color Max. We've had some great success with doing that for people. But, no one could find hats during the pandemic. And I don't know if it was luck or our research or whatever, but we had hats. And so I think having hats during the hardest time to have hats, 3,000 to 4,000 in stock all the time, kind of got us in with a bunch of clients, and to start building those relationships with those people. And I think we're kind of becoming a headwear company. We'll do other things for people. But hats are like 75% of our business now. And it just happened in the last 2 years.
Yeah. So you found your niche, right?
We went from 1 360 press to 2 in like 12 months. So I see us having 5 or 6 in the next couple of years.
Well, good for you. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and check comments real quick to see who is joining us. Thread Chemistry T-shirt and print says that they like beers and hats, so they are very happy to have you on today, learning all that there is to know about the inside of crafted teas, and what their main source of revenue is coming from. So that's one big thing in the industry that I think a lot of us like to have a little bit of insight on, because t-shirts is always going to be the go-to, right? It's a staple. Everybody wants to be able to print a t-shirt, but when you can really hone in on your niche or your target audience, and that the main thing you want to do is headwear, and you can own that and just focus just on that, I mean, that's amazing. So I think that as people are getting into the industry, they like seeing, someone that has been able to craft that and just really build a whole community around your business. So you start going to events now and print on site at the beer fest,
Yep.
right? So
Breweries.
tell us a little bit about that. How did you get started in printing on site at events?
Sure. So, everyone's heard of a live screen printing event. And so we actually had a customer who wanted to do that. And I didn't want to risk losing that customer to that live screen printing vendor, because you never know. And this business is very cutthroat, as most of us know. And so I was like, hey, what if we brought up our hat press to your brewery? We made up a couple different patches and we let people do an on-site design your own hat thing. And they're like, huh, we never heard of that. I'm like, I just thought of it literally on the spot. I didn't want to lose their business. And I'm like, let's just try it. So we went up for their anniversary party, and, we had a leather patch option. We had a flex style option. And then, a transfer option. And so the customer comes up, they pick their favorite patch, and then they pick their favorite blank hat. They can kind of play with it. They can try the hat on, see what they like. We usually have someone there to help them kind of make decisions, just to speed things up a little bit. And then we press it right there on site with the 360. It's ready in a minute. We try and get them to show us some love on social media. And just we've done, in the last month, we've done like 6 events. And so we have one this weekend. And then on July 9th, we'll be in Austin, Texas. So we're traveling from Denver to Austin to the Salt Lake Barbecue. If there are any fans live with us, we will be there at the Round Rock location from 12 to 5. That's my plug for that. We got live band, we got breweries, we got a AAA baseball game. So it should be fantastic.
Yeah, so very exciting stuff. Now, before we get into a little bit more in depth on that event coming up, what made you go with the idea of, well, let them pick their hat and their patch style? Is it something you had seen, or did you just want to get the attendees more engaged with what you were doing to bring more awareness to the brand?
Yeah, I think it's a great activation. It's a great interaction for customers. They come to these events, they're huge fans of these breweries.
Mhm.
It's like their number one brewery for a lot of people. And so for the idea that they can have a hat that possibly nobody else would design, or if they would design, there'd be like 6 or 7 of them and not hundreds, people just love it. This past weekend, we had 2 events. I've never seen people so happy, truthfully. Like, they're just smiling ear to ear. We had a group of girls celebrating a 30th birthday, and all of them got the same hat. They just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Like, tons of photos, and it's something they'll remember. So now it's like, it's a no-brainer for the event to bring us in, because it's memorable. It's interactive. And so from a sales and a marketing standpoint, people will talk about it forever.
Yeah. I think that doing something memorable is key, right? Especially at events, because they may be seeing you for the first time and then they get to leave with something that they had a part in creating. And no better memory, right? And then they get to keep that. And of course, whenever we talk about sustainability, we like to create things that can be reused. And I think that's exactly what you're doing. These folks are going out to this event. They are seeing a hat that they love, and then they get to choose which patch they want on there. So not only is it memorable, but now it's also a sustainable piece in a sense, because they'll want to keep wearing it and they'll want to reuse it and hold on to that, as opposed to it just being like maybe a t-shirt they'll end up throwing away, So I think what you're doing is absolutely awesome. And as we begin to wrap up our live here with Ty, I do have a few more questions. So what would you say is the number one key to the success of your business?
Honestly, I would say it's building relationships. That kind of is something I've kept with me my whole adult career with all of work, and building relationships with students when I was a teacher. Absolutely imperative to the success of being a teacher. And so I think I've just carried that over into the business of custom apparel. And so we have a different approach with our custom apparel. We sit down with people. We drive to their place. We don't sit back and wait for a phone call. And so that's all building relationships with people. To the point where they can trust you. They can call you on a Saturday. We try not to do that too often, obviously, but hey, call me on a Saturday if you need something,
Mhm.
and just be there for people. And, also with our social media, we promote heavily with people we work with. We tag them. If they have something going on a weekend, we post it in our stories to get people to try and go out and support them. So, when you work with us, we support you as fully as we can.
Right. So, yeah, I would have to second that. I think relationships are key. Whenever you can connect with someone on that level, it just gets that repeat customer, right? And then you also enjoy being able to work with them at that point as well,
Of course.
whenever you have that relationship built. And social media, I think, plays a huge role in that because it gets you in front of people you wouldn't necessarily be able to just from being in Denver. So, like you said, you have an opportunity here in Texas, Austin area for Salt Lick, which is a huge attraction here. When I first moved here in January, that's all anybody could talk about when it came to barbecue was you have to try Salt Lick. So, how did that come about? And tell us a little bit more about the event. Will you be printing on site there as well?
Yeah, sure. So that relationship started with, oddly enough, just making some masks for them for their
Mhm.
restaurant during the pandemic. I do have a small connection. My cousin works there, but he wasn't in charge of the headwear. He's just, he's one of the managers, and so
Mhm.
made some masks and then just kind of stayed with it. And really, from posting to social media and him seeing it and seeing how awesome the hats were, they reached out. So we've been doing their headwear for about a year now. And then I just always thought it would be amazing to go out of state and do a hat event. So we will be on site. We'll have two 360 presses. We'll have 4 different options of Stahls products to choose from for patches. And then we'll have like over 300 hats, which will be overwhelming for some. Um, but we'll have 300 hat choices. Put the patch on the hat and we'll make it happen for you.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So I'm actually going to drive out to this event and check it out. If you guys want to see how the event turned out and a little bit behind the scenes of how Ty actually gets to the event and sets up, we'll definitely be posting that on our social channels. So stay tuned for that. And you said the event is next Friday, correct?
On
Thursday.
July 9th. Yep.
July 9th. Okay. So,
Saturday.
yeah, a lot of fun stuff coming up for you. I'm really excited to see it firsthand. And I want to thank you, of course, for jumping on today's live. And for those of you that joined us, a lot of great information came out of this. So I really appreciate you being able to share some insight on best practices for social media and also some business tips as well.
Absolutely.
um, yeah, so for those of you that got a chance to join, if you have any additional questions, you can go ahead and comment those in. And if you're joining us from Facebook or YouTube, be sure to check out Ty Kain's social media platforms so you can stay up to date there as well. We will see you guys next time.
Thank you.